So PEMF seems to work through some other signaling mechanism. So it's not blocking pain like TENS, it's not blocking pain like opioids or anything else. It seems to be acting at an early stage in the pro-inflammatory, anti-inflammatory signaling process. And inside the feedback loop, that's causing tissue to take an anti-inflammatory state that then facilitates tissue regeneration and also seems to reduce pain. And that's why when you get PEMF treatment, it seems to last for days or weeks.
Hey everybody, today I am posting a video with Bob Dennis, who is a Ph.D. If you don't know who Bob Dennis is or haven't been following PEMF or pulsed electromagnetic therapy very closely, you might not know that this is the guy that actually invented this stuff. He was contracted by NASA quite some time ago to develop PEMF for a different purpose. He ended up finding that it actually really helped with reduction of pain, and then he just went down the rabbit hole. And so he's developed a number of different units. He also talks about his newest technology in this that he's been really focused in on for the last 10 years. It's really intriguing, so take a second to watch PEMF, especially if you have chronic pain.
That make me say something I didn't say.
Yeah.
That's fine.
PEMF is the worst thing ever.
PEMF will get the aliens out of your head. You know,
okay.
so
See, like that was a great one.
get rid of your tin hat because you don't need it anymore. Now you got.
See,
PEMF.
I don't even have to edit it together now. It's already covered.
That's right.
One of the reasons I left this in is because I really valued how personable Bob was. He's just the type of guy that you can go and sit down with and have a chat, and he's a lot of fun. But despite how much he's accomplished and how intelligent this guy is, he's super, super personable and very humble.
So who are you and what do you do?
I am Bob Dennis, have a Ph.D. in Biomedical Engineering, and I am a medical device designer. So I design a lot of different medical devices, but in the last 10 years or so, I've been focusing most of my energy on designing my own device, a PEMF, to deal with terrible chronic pain I had from an injury as a firefighter. So as a volunteer firefighter, I really hurt my back and nothing was helping. And so they were prescribing, you know, I had bottles of oxycodone, right? And that would take my pain from a solid 10, it would take it down to maybe a 7, 6 or 7. Okay. So I could kind of walk, but that was about it. I wasn't fully functional at all. And about 7 or 8 years ago, I decided to dust off an old technology I developed for NASA back in 1996, 1997, which was this PEMF. And I was making them for industrial applications, so they're kind of big, like microwave oven size, with big coils. And I just sat back on a coil, just out of sheer desperation. It was 1 in the morning, and I was just in so much pain, couldn't sleep, couldn't lie down. Medication was doing nothing but giving me brain fog. And 14 minutes into it, all of a sudden, I got this great back adjustment, click, 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 so intense that I actually saw stars counter-rotating. And I thought, you know, as a back pain sufferer, I thought, oh boy, I've really done it now, I'm in trouble. But then I realized, well, there's no pain. So it was the first time I hadn't had pain in a couple of years. And then I was, you know, wow, maybe I'm okay. So then I didn't use it again for 3 or 4 days, and the pain started to come back. Used the PEMF again, this big industrial unit I had built for on contract.
Okay, how'd you make it for them?
Well, it was for a company that licensed the PEMF technology from NASA for biomolecules. So they were using it to control gene expression for biomolecules for making cosmetics, of all things. Okay. So it's a failed company, but that's what they were trying to do, was make growth factors. They were trying to make growth factors in a bioreactor for mass-producing cosmetics. So they were using this PEMF system that we had shown at NASA can upregulate growth factors in cells and culture. It makes sense, right? So anyway, I had this big system sitting there. It was like $70-something thousand, but you know, for them, for industrial processing. And I just sat back on it, and it seemed to help my back the first time. And then, you know, I'm sort of a scientist, kind of skeptical. Yeah, well, whatever, maybe it's just lucky. Maybe it's just the shape of the plastic coil and nothing to do with the electromagnetism. So I tried it again after a few days, and the pain came back, and boom, it's gone again. So I did this a few times, and finally a thick-headed, okay, there's something really here, right? Well, this isn't going to help anybody if it's like the size of a microwave oven and costs as much as 2 cars or 3 cars. You know, it's got to be different. So I spent a lot of time making a much smaller, more portable unit, which maybe I'll just pull one out of my pocket because I wear it every, well, I wear it every day because I have to. So I wear this little thing, so now I can make it. It's 52 grams, has a camcorder battery, and plugs in some coils, and I just put it on my back and walk around with it on my back. And as long as I wear one 2-3 times a week, unlike oxycodone, which would bring my pain down to a 7 or a 6 out of 10, this brings it to a 0 or maybe a 1.
Really?
Oh yeah, totally. So non-invasive, non-drug. And the other thing is I've been using it every other day to every day for maybe 6 years now. And the interesting thing is that you don't build up a resistance. You don't habituate to it like you do to a drug. It's actually, I use it on a lower setting. So something about PEMF seems to have, and it's very interesting to study. It's hard to study, but it's interesting. It seems to have the effect that your body doesn't accommodate to it like it does to a narcotic. What happens is it reduces inflammation, which I have test data to show that that's true from an independent test lab, that PEMF can actually reduce inflammation. So I think what's happening is it allows tissue to recover. So actually, over time, you need less PEMF, not more. It's not likely that it's, doing these things that marketers talk about, like charging mitochondria or charging cell walls. I think that's a secondary effect. I think the primary effect is that it's sending an anti-inflammatory signal. So we know that it does that it seems to reduce the inflammation. We also know it changes the cytokine signaling, like interleukin 6 and IL-6 and different cytokines that are related to inflammation. So we know it's doing that. We have data for that. We don't know how. We don't know the biophysics of how this electric current causes that effect. So that's the part of PEMF that's missing. But that's all subject to research, right? And then on the far end, on the biological clinical end, when you reduce inflammation, you get all these really great clinical benefits. So on the far end, there's over 1,000 papers published. You can look. This is just a matter of fact. You can search PEMF and you will get thousands of hits. The great majority of scientific papers show benefit. Some of them show no effect, and none of them, as far as I can tell, show adverse effects. So PEMF seems to have these great benefits on anything related to inflammation, which is about 250 diseases just of aging seem to be largely implicate the effects of inflammation that's uncontrolled as we age. So when you take into account the fact that there's a lot of problems, including chronic pain, seems to have a big inflammatory component. So the beneficial effects of PEMF with chronic pain, although we don't understand at the biophysical level what's happening with molecules that's causing this anti-inflammatory effect, there seems to be, based on the research I've done, based on the data I've seen, based on the papers I've read, seems to be this anti-inflammatory effect that's different from aspirin, because inflammation is a big, complicated system. It's not just one thing. Otherwise, aspirin would cure everything, right? You wouldn't need PEMF. Just take an aspirin and, all of inflammatory disease would be cured. Well, it's not. So PEMF seems to work through some other signaling mechanism. So it's not blocking pain like TENS. It's not blocking pain like opioids or anything else. It seems to be acting at an early stage in the pro-inflammatory, anti-inflammatory signaling process, and inside the feedback loop, that's causing tissue to take an anti-inflammatory state that then facilitates tissue regeneration and also seems to reduce pain. And that's why when you get PEMF treatment, it seems to last for days or weeks. And the interesting thing about PEMF is it seems to be a desperate option of last resort for most people. So most people who use PEMF, they will tell you the list of things they've tried that have failed. It usually starts with an injury somewhere that never healed, and then there's like knee surgery or back surgery, and then they go through the whole mainstream till all of a sudden their treatments are no longer billable, and then the mainstream system kind of shoots them out. Well, we can't extract any more insurance coverage for you or whatever, so now you're kind of left to yourself. That's where I was. For me, this is not just hyperbole. They were sort of like, well, we can't really help you anymore, so good luck. right? We'll give you one last prescription for oxycodone, which, you know, wasn't going to help me because you count the tablets, count the days, you go, okay, in 60 days, I'm completely on my own. So what do people use it for? Well, it's all the stuff where there are no alternatives. And it's interesting, but this is all people self-experimenting with it because there's nobody making medical claims for any of this stuff. And they shouldn't, because they can't, you know, prove that it's safe and effective for this. But what people use it for, the one that I would think would be the biggest one, but it's not, is chronic pain. And that is where, you know, it's driving the opioid crisis, and people are desperate. I mean, pain will drive you, I know because I've been there, will drive you to an extreme that you never thought you would be there. I mean, some of these people were good people doing, you know, active, you know, part of society, contributing, and now there's some junkie living under some viaduct somewhere. It's pain and opioids have driven them there. So people will do all kinds of crazy things. That's why so many people try to take advantage of people in pain. But when people in pain try PEMF, a very large percentage get relief. That's what's kind of amazing. I can certainly say in my specific case, it got me completely off of the opioids and took care of my pain, and I was able to regain function. But that is not the biggest section. The largest section of people who use PEMF are self-hackers, people who just sort of are, yeah, it's very strange to me. It's like many people, they just come with this whole range of things that they're trying to fix. There's really no, so it turns out there are 7,000 acknowledged cataloged states of disease that are recognized clinically. Of that 7,000, mainstream medicine only has treatments for about 500 of them. And many of those are not effective. Many of them are very effective, and that's the end of it. Boom, people don't look. But people with the bulk of those 7,000 conditions, and they're not like rare tropical diseases or anything. The biggest one is chronic pain. And chronic pain is larger than every person who has stroke, plus every person who has cancer, plus every person who has cardiovascular disease, plus every person who has diabetes. Put them all together, times 2, that's the number of people who suffer from chronic pain in the United States. And you can look this up. They have the numbers from 2013 and 2016, I think, on painmed.org. So chronic pain is absolutely huge. And we have this opioid crisis going on now because we don't have effective mainstream treatments for chronic pain. We just don't. So it's not like of these 7,000, you know, minus 500 things that we have some treatments for, it's not like they're all rare and small. One of, you know, the biggest one of all is virtually untreatable, which is chronic pain. So there's that, and then there's a bunch of other ones. But the sort of self-hackers fall into 2 groups, right? You've got the group of people who have a problem that no one else can solve for them, so they're working on it themselves. And then you have sort of the group of people who are sort of trying to improve themselves, like 100% plus. So athletes. Athletes are trying to get faster recovery times. Some people are trying to get, you know, clearer thinking, improved memory, improved cognition, and stuff like that. I will go on record as saying I have no idea if PEMF helps with that, but the number of people self-experimenting in that area is large, right? But then there's a bunch of areas I would never have thought that it would be helpful. Like one of them is peripheral nerve problems, like fibromyalgia and things that are presumed to be, you know, like carpal tunnel. Another one is urinary incontinence.
Okay.
Would have never thought, and yet everybody who self-experiments with PEMF, who tries it, says, "Oh my God!" You know, if it's idiopathic, not induced by some physical injury, but idiopathic urinary incontinence, everybody says that I've talked to who's tried it says, "Oh, it's very, very helpful," when nothing else was helpful. So the range of things that PEMF seems to be helpful for never fails to amaze me. There's always somebody calls me up or emails me and said, "Did you know you can use it for this?" And I'm like, jaw-dropping, like, I had no idea, you know. So it's hundreds of different things that people use it for, and I think that their success rate is highly variable. Like some people use it for headache, and a lot of people just don't get any relief at all. They just like, it doesn't help me at all. Another one that was amazing to me, we published a paper on this, was traumatic brain injury, right? Where people were using it on TBI, and there were people who had gone years, like 4 or 5, 6 years, with this untreatable TBI, never getting better, and then use PEMF, and you know, we have data on this. It's published, you know, it's online, it's open access. So it just seems to be useful for a lot of things, and currently it's used mostly as an option of last resort, which I think is a shame. I think because it's non-invasive, there's no chemicals involved. Maybe PEMF should be an option of first resort for people. In my opinion, there'd be a lot less suffering if that was the case.
Well, I'm curious, how much does it cost? Are you
Well,
able to
yeah, I'll sort of bracket it. I'll say, well, one of the big things that I tried to do with PEMF was reduce the power level. So I've been able to reduce the power by 99.8% and still have the same biological effectiveness, which means it can be much smaller and much less power, so it can be battery powered, which means it can be much more affordable. Most people, even people who sell much bigger PEMF systems, actually tell us, you know, ours is the best one. There are people who sell $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, you know, suitcase, you know, luggage-sized PEMF, who actually own our devices and use them on themselves and their family. So if you don't need it, you know, it's a frivolous expense of a few $100s. If it's something that really, really helps you, lets you get back to work, that's a pretty small price to pay.
Yeah, can't afford not to.
Can't afford not to, you know. I mean, I couldn't work without it. I mean, so for me, it really works. I build the systems because I'm an obligate user. I can't function without it. For everybody else, self-experiment. You know, there's no guarantees, no claims, not approved for any human condition. Can't say it's safe or effective for anything else. Totally self-experimental, but I'm trying to get it to the point where the price point is low enough, I think I'm there, where people can